Hey there, Rednecks, Preppies, Redneck Preppies. It's me, the Redneck Preppy. How you doing today? Great, good. Today's video is a bit of the Captain Obvious, but as a friend of mine, an actual legitimate philosopher, once told me, Redneck, sometimes you have to preach to the choir. And with that in mind, I come to tell you, brothers and sisters, I come today not to please the crowd. I come to preach the word. And that word is practice. If you've ever watched any of my videos on survival equipment and kits, you've heard me say it once. If you heard me say it a dozen times, practice with the equipment you expect to save your life. Survival kits aren't a magic carpet. They don't suddenly grant you miraculous powers in an emergency situation. And there's two obvious reasons why you need to know how to use your equipment. The first one is effectiveness. For those who've bought or put together a survival kit, they usually feature a fire starter, whether it's a ferro rod, matches, or a lighter. Let's take this lighter. Many people view this as an I win button when it comes to fire. And to be sure, it's easy to get a flame with one. But that doesn't mean those people know how to start and build a fire. Starting from tinder, adding progressively larger pieces of fuel in a manner that allows the fire to breathe and have a sustainable and long-lasting life. Making the most effective use of both that fire starter and the fuel that they're consuming. Most people, instead, they just throw a couple of big logs on and then spend the next while just trying to light the damned pile. Or they don't know how to start a fire with damp tinder and wood. It's possible to do so, but most people don't know how and they struggle, all because they didn't practice. Suddenly, the I win button, it isn't. Another great example is snare wire. I don't think too much of it in survival kits, and that's primarily because most people have absolutely no idea how to construct an effective snare wire trap. Even experts find it's a difficult method of obtaining food, and in the hands of a novice, it's probably a waste or a generator of false hope. Here's where some training and practice might have helped someone survive a bit longer by catching small game with a snare wire trap that works. The second reason for practice is arguably important as the first, and that's conservation. And I mean that in two ways. The first is material. If this is your survival kit, and this is my pocketable survival kit, which you can learn more about in the video link in the description below, you have a limited collection of resources to survive. Even this full-fledged kit here, again, a link is in the description below if you want to learn more about it, isn't infinite. Let's use an example. Paracord. Most survival kits of that second size are going to have 20 to 30 feet of paracord. That's a pretty decent amount. It also goes very quickly when you don't know what you're doing. If the only two knots that you know are for your shoelaces and an overhand knot, you're probably going to use a lot more cordage to accomplish a task than someone who knows 2 or 3 actually useful knots. Same with wood. If you're using more wood than necessary, or at a faster rate than you have to, you're wasting a resource. If your survival kit only has storm matches, that's as many fires as you can start, and wasting them, or starting up badly made fires, is a poor use of limited resources. Now, I'm not going to repeat myself ad infinitum, but anything that's a finite supply in your survival kit needs to be used effectively, or it's a waste of precious, life-sustaining resources. The second conservation of resources I'm referring to are time and energy. Now, you probably raised an eyebrow when I talked about wasting wood. You might be lost in a forest and there's no shortage of wood there. But do you have an infinite supply of time and energy to keep gathering that wood? See, any time and energy you waste is time you don't have for food collection, water gathering, shelter improvements, or planning. Not knowing how to use the items in your survival equipment effectively will cause you to expend more time and energy than you otherwise would have. And given that you're probably operating on at least a caloric deficit in a survival situation, you really want to spend more energy collecting wood because you don't know how to make a proper fire than you do, trying to find food to sustain yourself? Probably more important. Like I said, Captain Obvious stuff. But having a survival kit and not really knowing how to use it is like the average person owning a sports car with a stick shift. Yeah, you look good right up until the time it's to get into it and do something. This time of the year, a lot of you are out in the woods deer hunting or whatever you're getting up to. And now is a great time to practice a skill or two while you're out there. Never actually tried starting a good fire with a ferro rod? Take 10 minutes, find out. Don't know how hard it is to draw water out of your purification straw? Why not try it? Like I said, survival equipment isn't a get out of jail free card. You actually need to know how to use some of this stuff in order to give yourself the best chance to survive and preserve your limited resources. Otherwise, what's the point of spending money on a survival kit? You may as well send it to me because I like beer and rye whiskey. True story. At any rate, I hope you found today's video to at least be vaguely entertaining and mildly informative. As always, I hope your adventures in the great outdoors are always safe. Take care, and bye-bye.